You know, every time I watch this series, I never expect it to blow me away or give me a new perspective on certain elements that tie into the world that is Scissor Seven. And yet, here I am again, talking about Scissor Seven and how things just keep on getting better. So, what is today's video centered around? The show itself? No. The comedy? Nope. The jump in quality in regards to the animation? Close, but no. Okay, then what about the music? Surely that deserves a video. No, dear viewer, it is neither of those points. You see, watching season 4 of Scissor 7 was fun and all. Seeing the characters again from where we last left them, good versus evil, blah blah blah, you get it. But it also had me turning my head purely out of curiosity and genuine intrigue. Intrigue in this particular group of characters, which were the main focus this time around, and literally stole the show every time they were on screen. That's right. Today, I want to talk about... So why the villains, you may ask? Well, if it wasn't obvious from the clear focus on them, I believe they got way more story and depth applied to them in this recent season. So much so that I think I was genuinely starting to feel something for one of them when they eventually got killed. That's when you know you've written your character well, when the viewer starts to relate to or feel some sort of sympathy towards the antagonist. A strong interplay between a protagonist and an antagonist is vital in storytelling. Their conflict generates tension, propels character development, and engages the audience emotionally. And sure, you could argue that these villains have a very bland goal in mind, and that is money. Seven has a hefty bounty on him, and the shadow killers are after him. Simple. However, for some of them, it's not just about the money. They are real people with real issues, and that is what fascinates me the most. Being able to humanize your villains allows us to see their humanity, their complexities, and their vulnerabilities. Now, over the past few seasons, several characters have posed as a threat to Seven and his friends, but I've rounded it down to just 4 individuals. 4 characters that have undeniably left an impression on me, those being Blackbird, Manjusaka, Red Tooth, and White Fox. To kick things off, let's start with Manjusaka. What can I say about Manjusaka that wasn't already obvious? I mean, she's short, she's beautiful, she's slender, and oh yeah, she's kind of a psycho. See, if I had to describe Manjusaka with one single word, that word would be complex. Why? Well, this term complex incorporates her mix of affectionate and possessive behavior. She has an appreciation for beauty and somewhat of an observant nature. However, she tends towards being manipulative and downright deceitful, not to mention that she is not to be trifled with. Her abilities make her extremely dangerous. Having the ability to float, practically teleport, and use these spider lily darts that can paralyze or poison her targets, she's quite OP when you think about it. And yet, with her personality established and all that power at her disposal, she claims to dislike violence. And that is what interests me the most about this character. According to the director, Manjusaka is known for lying about her feelings. She tends to like everyone, but in reality she likes no one. She has a bad habit of easily falling in love with individuals. People like Blackbird, Green Phoenix, and of course our main boy Seven. This then leads on to my next point about her possessive nature. As one would guess, Manjusaka has the tendency to become jealous whenever someone she likes takes an interest or becomes closer to anyone other than herself. That in turn brings out the worst in her. Exhibit A? Seven. In the past, Manjusaka was obsessed with Seven, but it was a one-sided affection. Seven never reciprocated those same feelings, and so out of anger and jealousy, she resorted to violence and allegedly killed the one person Seven was close with. So right here, Manjusaka's behavior is displaying similar traits to an old slang term called a bunny boiler. The name originated from the 1987 film Fatal Attraction. It refers to a person, typically a woman, who becomes obsessive, vengeful, or mentally unstable, especially after a romantic relationship ends. or in this case, never even happened. The term comes from a scene in the movie where a character boils a pet rabbit. Don't worry, I'm not gonna show it. The rabbit belonging to her ex-lover's family as an extreme act of revenge, all the while displaying the unsettling and dangerous nature of her fixation. So in this case, the rabbit being the girl in white, Seven's close friend, and the woman being Manjusaka. I just thought it was a good comparison, I just wanted to mention it. Anyways, fast forward to the present, and she's after Seven yet again, but not driven out of unrequited love, but out of the fear of him being with another. Because if she can't have him, then no one can. Moving on, next we have amongst the 4 villains, Blackbird's history is one of treachery, conflict, and the corrosive effects of power, as he transforms from a reluctant anti-hero to a sadistic, merciless killer. And the way the animation portrays all that is fantastic. Going up against Blackbird seems almost suicidal if you are not aware of what he's capable of, and his fight with 13 was proof of that. Like typical villain fashion, Blackbird utilizes the shadows and looming trees to move quickly and out of his victim's line of sight, adding to the intensity of the situation. Using only his whip to attack 13's blind spots, he does all this with nothing but a sadistic smile. Okay, so as cliche as it is, I really like this sequence. The classic use of darkness and concealment aligns with the traditional portrayal of villains who thrive in the darkness, adding that extra element of mystery and unpredictability to his actions. Furthermore, the fact that he's attacking her blind spot implies a cunning and strategic approach. By focusing on her blind spots, Blackbird demonstrates a deceptive and ruthless fighting style. This only gets amplified when he faces off against Seven. He does not hold back. His movement and persistence, complemented by the sketch animation, shows off how violent, quick, and deadly he is. In this sequence, you really get to see the monster he's become. And yet, when Blackbird finally met his end, he had one final flashback, a realization, if you will. Blackbird originally was a kind-hearted person training in the Flying Bird section. His forced assignment to the Blackbird faction and eventual betrayal/defeat by Whitebird completely shattered his world and his pride, only to find out that his own master had a contingency plan for him all along. The same master that put him on that path had ordered for the death of Blackbird and his disciples if they were to ever be compromised. As for the reasoning, reputation. Flying Bird section didn't want to be associated with the Blackbirds anymore since they've gained such a high standing reputation. And that is where I draw the line. Blackbird and his crew did some awful things, sure, but they did it to benefit the section, only for the section to turn around and go execute Order 66 on these guys. It sucks, it's not fair, and I get that, I do. But at the end of the day, he was a villain. He died a villain, but what's important to remember about Blackbird is that he wasn't always a villain. When White Fox showed up, it was like a mystery unfolding with a side of intimidation. The way he enters the scene makes it clear that he is not your average antagonist. He's calm, but it's a kind of calm that gives off a vibe of control. When he talks to people, you hear how his tone shifts from patient to assertive, revealing a deeper and more mysterious side. This duality adds a complexity to his character, as he can easily switch between appearances, keeping others unaware of his true intentions. And that's what kind of clicked with me in regards to this character. I like how he can give off this false sense of security by having these quick comedic moments, like for example with the old residents in that one scene, all the while keeping his cold, murderous side in check until the moment calls for it. What also caught my attention was how he treats violence like a game, as if causing chaos is just a source of entertainment. His attitude towards life and his whole moral compass is straight up unsettling, seeing killing as no big deal and using it to get what he wants, like when he was ready to murder the character Cola right then and there. You know, all this talk of White Fox reminds me of a film that I recently watched called Inglourious Bastards. Great film, by the way. In said film, there's a character called Hans Lada, and I couldn't help but notice what these two characters had in common that shaped them into the intimidating figures that they are. The polite exterior, the calculating nature, and the mysterious / intimidating vibe that they give off. Not to mention the power that they both possess, both figuratively speaking and physically. But yeah, the similarities are apparent, and I just wanted to take note of that. But shifting things back to White Fox, his mysterious and unpredictable nature leaves a very strong impression, combined with his twisted way of turning violence into a chilling game. This, in turn, makes him a truly compelling and formidable villain for the story. Last but not least, Redtooth. Admittedly, this is kind of a tough one. You can argue at the end of season 4, he started being a quote-unquote good guy, but he sure as hell didn't start off as one. Redtooth's journey was rocky. This is due to a certain uncontrollable force that no one can hope to overpower or control, and that's love. We all experience it, we all go through it, it's part of what makes us human, and Redtooth was no exception. He was a guy, just like anyone else, who fell in love, but just at the worst possible time. Love can make us do many things. It can bring out the best in us, but it could also lead to heartbreak. Unfortunately, the latter is what Redtooth had to go through, which in turn transformed him into a vengeful yet tragic villain. I like how season 4 delves into Redtooth's story, showing us why he's become the way he is. His journey, driven by love, rejection, and revenge, makes the character way more interesting. The whole thing with him making a deal with the Blood Demon and seeking payback adds depth to his character. It's like a deep dive into how personal feelings can change someone, and sometimes for the worse. Learning about Redtooth's past and how it shaped him into the person he is now makes it all the more enjoyable to understand him, to empathize with him, and maybe grow to like him. I might be pushing it with that last one, but you get the point. Honestly, Redtooth was a tough choice for my 4th villain, because since while he is a villain, he's also a victim of love. Finally, I just want to say I in no way condone Redtooth, because he is without a doubt a bad guy. But I can say with confidence that I understand how Redtooth came to be. He's a villain, but a broken one. So those are my thoughts on my top 4 villains of Scissor 7. Well, the ones that caught my eye at least. I'm pretty sure some of you are probably typing away in the comments section saying, what about the Shadow Killer's leader? You forgot about the leader, bro really ignored Shimon. So yeah, I decided to stay quiet on those two characters because there is literally so little information on those two. The leader has some history with Green Phoenix, and that reveal was interesting to see, but I would argue that it was mostly tied to Green Phoenix's origin and not his own, so that's that. As for Shimon, I do not care about the guy. As far as I know, there is nothing going on with his character. He's only there for Seven's bounty, and he hardly even talks. So yeah, my hands are kind of tied on this one. Nevertheless, with that being said, that's pretty much going to conclude today's video. The villains in the show, while diverse with their motivations and backgrounds, contribute to the story with all types of depth and complexities. From broken figures seeking revenge to unhinged characters with hidden agendas, the villains add layers upon layers of conflict, emotion, and intrigue to the overall storytelling in Scissor 7. Hey, thank you so much for watching the video and reaching this end point. It really means a lot, especially since you sat here and listened to me talk about the villains of Scissor 7 for 10 to 12 minutes. It really means a lot. Thank you so much. I would have gotten this video out sooner. It's been kind of difficult. It's taken me around a week to make this video, since I've got a full-time job as a graphic designer, and then when I get home I have to edit, and it takes a lot out of me. But at the end of the day, when you see that end product, you think, wow, I had fun making this, and that's exactly how I feel when I've made this video. I know a lot of you have been waiting for me to talk about Scissor 7 again, especially season 4, and now I see why, because this season focused on the villains so well, and I just feel like that was something I had to talk about. And yeah, here we are today. So once again, thank you so much for watching the video. It really means a lot. And if you liked the video, please leave a like, leave a comment, let me know what you think about the season, who was your favorite villain, yada yada. If you want, subscribe. You don't have to, it's okay. But once again, thank you so much for watching the video. Subscribe if you're new, leave a like, leave a comment, and I will see you in the next one. See ya.